My love for you is pure like a morning dew. When you post your lewds and my heart jumps over the moon. You liked my tweet when I said you were thick with two C's. That's when I knew that I'd found the girl for me. And all I had to do to have you was sign up for tier 2 of your Patreon. 'Cause you're my Patreon girl, and your love for me depends on how much money that I pledge to you monthly. And you make me feel like I'm the light of your whole world. But deep down I know I'm being used by an e-girl to pay for her G-Wagon. Yeah, oh, yeah, nice car, yeah, oh, please don't leave a scar on my heart. I've been subbed 1 year, so I just got a new badge. Now all the plebes in chat know that I've seen your vag. And I know someday you'll finally realize that I love you more than your boyfriend or those other guys. Yeah, all I have to do to have you is sign up for tier 2 of your Patreon. 'Cause you're my Patreon girl, and your love for me depends on how much money that I pledge to you monthly. But you make me feel like I'm the light of your whole world. But deep down I know I'm being used by an e-girl to pay for her G-Wagon. Yeah, oh, yeah, nice car, yeah, oh, please don't leave a scar on my heart. Yeah, oh, yeah, nice car, yeah, oh, please don't leave a scar on my heart.
Yeah. Hey man, you ever felt unstoppable? That's the team, right? I said, welcome to the new world. Welcome to the new world. Hey, yo, Jai got it. What if I told you I was super bad?
Good morning. Have you got your coffee? Have you had your Captain Crunch peanut butter with milk? Or do you pour orange juice over it like a true psycho? All right, so I'm going to have to address something right off the bat because somebody accused me of not being able to count. So let's take a look at the little history here, ladies and gentlemen. We had episode 1 back here, and then we have 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6. Then we had the special one, which was me with my horrible setup building a my new streaming PC. Then we had episode 7, and then today's 8. So banana, yeah, I can count. So I suck it. Okay, so all right, so we're ready to go. Yeah, don't ever question the PeePaw. I'm very rarely am I ever wrong, but I'm never ever right. Think about that one for a second. So let's start off the show here. Let's get my number one assistant here, Purple Paul, sent me this morning. It said, Santa, my ice hole's frozen. And Santa says, language. Boy, if I had a nickel every time I heard that from my wife, holy smokes. So I'm going to implement a little bit new of a segment right off the very beginning of the show. Oh, Lord, I don't have no lights on behind me. What color should we do today, guys? Huh? Should we go with a safe color, or do we want to go DEFCON red? You know what we're going to do? We're going to start off with a safe little color here. But something tells me we're going to end up on DEFCON Red today. Oh, we got a new. Oh, but tip $5. PP poo poo. Your audio keeps spiking. No. Your audio keeps spiking. Let me turn it down a bit. There we go. I'm a little bit hot, I guess. I had the audio turned up because of my voice was kind of weak from the stream the other day. So anyway, hopefully that's a little bit better. There. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, JFA, you asshole! How did you find me over here? Damn it! I got JFA. I got to deal with over here. Son of a bitch. Welcome in, JFA. We love you. So we'll do a little bit in a segment, and I want to highlight some people that that are important to me. That I don't think is getting maybe enough recognition out there, and that their followers, subscribers, things like that, they're not. I don't think they're where they should be. And so we're going to just highlight some people that I want to hopefully encourage you guys to follow. So the first one we're going to talk about here is D-Max. Now, D-Max and I go way back. I met this, who is now a young man. He was just a wee little lad back in the day. This was back on, you know what? Let me find, because I will tell you exactly. Because I was doing some research, because that's what old people do, is we research a lot, right? And I actually found, here we go. Yeah. This was back in 2017 when D-Max and I first started interacting with each other. He showed up on my radar because of a video that he did. This was back in the time when people like Leafy and Grade A Under A and Pyrocynical and others were having a major hate fest going on with Keemstar, a big war that happened, right? That was a big community, or I guess a drama community, commentary community, whatever you want to call it, thing that happened back then. And he did a little video that is still up, that is still out there. And maybe one of these mornings we'll watch it. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, D-Max has been around for a while. This is his old act. I don't even think it's active anymore. But this is his current act, his Twitter at, and it's at D_Max_HS. Let me tell you something. This guy is a phenomenal artist. And I don't say that lightly. And, you know, this community is full of very, very talented artists. Okay. And I have used several different artists, and I've commissioned different work for different things for them. But D-Max is very talented. He is the one who did all the graphics and stuff for the Clear as Mud podcast for us now, right? He did all of our backdrops. He did our intro, all that stuff, right? He's very good. If you are a streamer that is looking for that kind of stuff, check out his website here. He's got a website. It's dmhs.work, and you can not you know, he's a good looking guy too, guys. He's one of them handsome. He's one of them pretty boys. But anyway, just check him out. He is actually by trade a professional producer and video editor. He went to school for all that stuff. I mean, he's super crackerjack smart on this stuff. But anyway, give him a check. Give him a follow. Let's get his subs. He's only got 15 followers, guys. Come on, now we can do better than that. I know that the people out there that follow me and stuff. Let's give D-Max a little love. Let's get him. You know what I think we can do. I think we could probably get him up to 100 followers in just no time at all. If we could, I think that's a great milestone to start with. So let's do that. So let's get him some followers. The next one, this is my partner in crime. This is my boy Banana Grabber. This is his Twitter, right? And he's only got 83 followers, right? So we need to check him out. You guys need to give him some follows too. He's actually starting to stream a little bit too. Let me pull up. He's getting all of his ducks in a row, right? So we go here because I was just watching his stuff. Yeah, here it is. I'm not going to play the stream, but I just want to go to his YouTube channel. But anyway, here's his YouTube channel. He's got a few things out there. But he's working on getting all of his stuff into place. He's working on getting all of his elements set up. He's working on everything that he needs to get in place. But if you're not subbed to his channel, right here, the little subscribe, you just click there, right? And then what you do is come over here and you say, bing, yes, please notify me when he goes live. Okay. So, and D-Max, he lives over there on Twitch, but don't tell nobody. All right, he's on Twitch, but we won't hate on him because he's on Twitch. He plays like the Pokemon and the Kingdom Hearts and things like that. Things that I don't play and I don't understand and whatever. So, but if you like that type of stuff, because I know a lot of you guys do, you can check him out. Matter of fact, let me find him. And let me just pull him up here for you guys over here on the Twitch. I should have had all this ahead of time, but I'm a goof. Here he is. Yeah, here he is. So this is his Twitch, and you can check him out. He is highly entertaining. He has so much stuff on his streams. Like he has little things that pop up and this and that and whatever. A lot of animations, graphics and stuff. Cause like I said, this is his world. He's just really, really good. So, that's twitch.tv/D_Max_HS. Okay. So anyway, give those guys, if you like the Pokemon stuff, I don't know what all Banana, is going to be doing. I just know that he's doing stuff. So, make sure you're following him and stuff as well. I have some great news. Back a few nights ago on Dead on Dave's stream, Purple Paw Prince is actually the one that brought me this story originally. And she brought me this story. And this is about Captain Corey. Now, Captain Corey is the young man that he's in a bad way. He's got a lot of medical issues and stuff, and he is actually currently, I think, sadly to say, he's in the end care process. But I think he has good days and he has bad days. And anyway, when hang on, let me bring this thing up here. Bring up the stuff here. Come on, where is it at? Here we go. Okay, so when she sent me this update for this thing, she put in her message to me, Paw Prince did, that he was up to 95.7. As you guys can see, his channel is now, let me get up on the screen, see it better. His channel is now up to 98.7. Matter of fact, let's refresh it. And
Hi.
okay, so, he's over to 100. He is at 102,000 subs now. So he will get the 100K play button. That's awesome. But anyway, his mom and him did a little 10K special. That was 16 hours ago, guys. 16,
Hi.
16 hours ago, he had hit 10K. So this is just a rocket ship, and that's great. This is awesome, and um, I'm tickled to death now. So I see someone in chat said his mom. Yes, his mom is well, she's unique, right? And we celebrate unique people around here, guys. We're not going to be mean. And as long as they don't give us a reason to be mean, right? But anyway, they put out a little minute 20-second. So let's just watch this real quick and celebrate with them this great thing that's occurring here.
Hi.
Hi.
So Corey has done what we thought was the impossible, and has got over 10,000 subscriptions and likes and everything on his 10,000. It's amazing, isn't it? And it's down to largely a rather special person called
Johnny Depp.
Thank you, sir. You're a star, honestly. Absolute angel, honestly. And everybody who is subscribing, I am wobbling this camera again. Keep still. I need to invest in a tripod. Right. Thank you so much to absolutely every single person who has taken the time out to press like, press subscribe, watch Corey's videos. It does mean the world, doesn't it?
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Very happy. I woke up this morning and Mum was just like, "You're over 10,000." I'm like, how?
I know, it is.
How?
It is like absolutely more than I thought anybody could ever dream of, really, isn't it? So yeah, absolutely every single person out there who is helping Corey to achieve his dream, which is 100,000, it would be amazing. Honestly, every single like, every single subscription helps him to get to his dream. So thank you so much to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Well, I'll say this much. I'm tickled to death for the young man. I think it's awesome. I think it's great that he's reaching his goal. But I'll say this. And I'm sure they recorded it on a cell phone or whatever. And so I'm not going to give them a whole lot of grief or whatever. But they've got the YouTube thing down about like, subscribe, leave a comment. So they've got that stuff down. They're so anyway, if you haven't, think about like I say, they've hit. Well, here's the thing, Banana. He's actually had 2 hearts. They've actually done heart replacement on him twice. And because of his condition, it's just not going to work out for the young man, and that's sad. But hopefully he's going to have, well, like I say, he's hit the 100K. So, he's going to have some, this is one of those things that's kind of tough to talk about. But I'm happy that he's met his goal, and hopefully YouTube will get him a play button quickly, and he'll be able to celebrate that. And anyway, so now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of today, right? And we're going to talk about Keemstar and Brantley and the interview that Keemstar did with Tommy C yesterday. And we're going to have a little conversation about this. And so let me start off with saying this, that I like Keemstar. I think he is like all the rest of us. He's definitely a flawed person. And I like Brantley. But again, flawed person. And but there is this discussion that is taking place right now, and in and around who is subject to criticism and who's not. Okay, so But before we get started off, there was a funny little segment because I don't know if we'll necessarily get to, because I'm not going to watch all of the interview. We're not going to do that. But what is this here? Okay. So there was this funny little segment that happened that of course got clipped out and everything, and so let's it's only 12 seconds here, so let's just watch where Keemstar kind of steps in it.
She's 12, right? My daughter's 14.
Brantley's 13, and she gets or excuse me,
Brantley.
Wait, what?
So Keemstar misspoke. He was actually talking about his daughter Mia, who is 13, but he said Brantley, and I think that just was hilarious, right? But anyway, and of course, and Keemstar goes on, kind of laughs. Yeah, okay, that's gonna be clipped and whatever, because he knows. I mean, that's kind of the risk we run, right? When we're online, especially if it's live and it's not recorded and then edited and polished afterwards, right? We misspeak, and we know, just kind of like, somebody taking me and saying that, talking about, doing a shot off of a woman's breast, and they take it and they take a little audio segment and they put it behind a little Pokemon picture and they upload it because it's haha funny and makes fun of PeePaw, right? And it did, and it was, and I laughed and I shared it because I thought it was funny. But anyway, this very first part of this interview that because here's the thing about this interview, I really didn't know what to expect from this interview. Okay, I didn't know was because there's all this I didn't know what okay, so let me get my words straight in my head. So there's this thing that's going on right now kind of between Keem and Nicholas Diorio, right? And then, but it's not really a thing, right? I think it's only a thing for certain people, really. And then Keem out of the blue blocks Matt Pitt, the one-legged wonder, Matt Pitt, the one-legged wonder. And I listened to the stream yesterday because I was hoping that would get addressed and we'd find out why Keemstar blocked Matt Pitt, but and unless I slept through a section, which is possible, I didn't hear that get addressed. So we still don't know why Matt Pitt got blocked. I did not watch the Keemstar show last night because I crashed and went to bed extremely early last night because I wasn't. I'm still a little bit under the weather, but so I don't know if it was addressed there or not. So anyway. Did anybody watch the Keemstar show last night? Did he address why he blocked Matt? Let's see if there's anything in the chat. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, exactly. Shanry's. It was because I really didn't know what was going to happen on this. I don't think anybody really knew what was going to happen. We were like, okay, is he going to come in here and is he going to take this opportunity to really go after Nick, which I think would be, I don't think would necessarily have been a smart move because even though Tommy and Nick, had a moment of their own, I think for the most part, he and Tommy and Nick are pretty cool. I think they've, because I know, Nick calls in and stuff, but he's just not a regular part of the show anymore. They've kind of, they kind of went their own ways on stuff, which happens and stuff, right? And I think, Tommy is, I don't think I know. Tommy is one of these people that 100% will take someone to task. I mean, he'll do it, I think, as respectfully as he can, but he's not going to back up and he's not going to back off. And so I was kind of really curious. I mean, was he going to was Was Keem going to talk about that? Was he, what was this interview going to, what was it going to entail? The interview I thought went very, very well. I thought they had a very civil conversation. There was no bolstering or yelling or nothing like that. I thought it was very cordial. I do think there was some information that was shared that maybe people did not know, and that's what was informative in that aspect. And King talked about some very personal aspects of his life that maybe was not out there as well. But this first little segment, Tommy comes kind of right out of the gate, as it were, and so I want to get into this because I think this, to me, I think this is really kind of the meat and potatoes of what this whole thing is that kind of dusted up between Nick and Keem. So let's listen to these questions that of this back and forth a little bit.
I think Brantley's upset, possibly rightfully, right? But also Brantley she's in the game now. She's a player. What do you think of that?
I don't. Well, first of all, if we're jumping right into that, like, I was on Edwin's stream. This is a while ago, and
now I think it's kind of telltale that Keem doesn't answer the question there, right? Tommy flat out puts it out there. He takes and he lays it bare what really is the crux of this whole situation, right? And my question it would be to you, the chat. Is Brantley fair game? Is she on the proverbial dance floor, right? So what do you think, guys, in chat? Tell me, do you think that Brantley is fair games? So while I wait for you guys let's go ahead and listen to some more of this.
And me and what was it, like a week ago? I don't know. Me and Nick were in there. Nick, the thing that Nick does when he's at these Discord calls, he like talks over people, tries to be cool guy, big guy. So I was just breaking down all of his debate bro stuff, and he got really frustrated. And at the end of it, he starts putting out these tweets, talking shit about the Keemstar show, this and that, and it's clearly the guy's mad. And then on the Augie RFC, Nick was like just fucking going so hard at my show. He's like calling us white trash and like this and that. And it's like, when you watch that Augie RFC, it's like the Trail of Tears to the point where Augie needs to hold him back. And you're like, Nick, you sound salty, right?
Now I'm going to say this. I haven't watched the Augie show yet. Okay. So I don't know if what Keem is saying is an accurate depiction. I'm going to, I think, climb out on a limb, and I think I'm going to be safe climbing out on this limb, even if I am a big boy, a fat butt, a lard bottom. There's no doubt in my mind that the depiction that Keem is putting forth here is laced with hyperbole. Because one thing that I know is that Keemstar's ego is extremely sensitive. It's a very fragile little thing. If you do anything to criticize or critique anything that he does, he becomes very, very defensive about it, right? We've seen this time and time again. Now that's not to say that Nick, in his own right, when he is with his buddies, Augie, and Bo Blacks and things like that, that doesn't mean that Nick doesn't, he can be a little hyperbolic, sure. And he can be a little but, and he does that a lot of times because most of the times when he's going after people, they're ego driven, right? And he knows by going a little bit over the line, or not necessarily over the line, but a little bit over the top, as it were, it's going to cause a bigger reaction, which is really what he's going after, right? He wants that response. He wants that reaction. And so I think that's kind of, the deal here. But, Keem is regaling, going on about, how it's all this, this, that, whatever else. So
I've been just pointing out the clear obvious that Nick is, mad. He's upset.
Yeah,
and he's
but
also been saying these things like, oh, I knew me and Keem would have a falling out. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, what? We had a falling out? What are you talking about?
okay. So a little history here. Okay. Keemstar, everybody that all right. Here's a history lesson. And I'm going to divulge a little bit of a conversation that I had with somebody. Had a very lengthy conversation, and we were discussing and talking the old days here on the internet, right? And one of the things that we noticed, or that we came to a conclusion of, was this. Let's go back and we'll look. If you go back to like 2015, right, 2016, Keemstar was out here making friends with all the superstars that were really climbing the internet at that time, right? These were the guys who were shooting to the top. These were the guys who were cranking out, videos right and left, and had not. I'm not going to say that they created or that they made commentary as a genre, but what they did was they definitely elevated it, right? And I'm talking about Leafy, and I'm talking about grade A under A, right? And so he befriended these guys, right? But the thing, and this is Keem's Achilles heel, and it was never more on display in recent weeks as with his relationship with Sabo Pancakes. Okay, Keem tries to get these people, and he befriends them, right? And this all happened because of a person named iDubbbz. iDubbbz made a video. I think you might find it as a re-upload, but I know YouTube took it down off of iDubbbz channel, where he did a comment cop, right, on Keemstar, and that was a really big blow to Keem's ego, right? And so Keemstar starts befriending these people because he knew that he just didn't want any more of these quote expose or these exposed videos on him, right? And so he befriended him. And the problem was, though, and this is where it gets a little bit murky, right? At the time, Grade A and Leafy were saying that Keem was out here running his mouth and was talking about them behind their backs. Okay. In a subsequent years later, when they had a quote, well, Leafy and Keem anyway, I don't, there was never, I've never heard any kind of a conversation between Grade A and Keem. But Leafy, he said, well, because Keem asked him why the backstab, why the whatever, and Leafy said, well, money, right? So, did they do it as a gimmick to make money, or did they do it because there was some truth in the other? I don't know. What I do know is what we saw with Salvo, right? Because Salvo is in the kind of the same boat of cloth as some of these other guys like Leafy and the old iDubbbz and things like that, right? The difference with like between Sabo though and iDubbbz and stuff, where iDubbbz had a certain I guess you would call it lines, that these were lines in the sand that he wouldn't cross, or these were not things that he would do. Sabo doesn't believe in lines. Okay, Sabo doesn't believe in these rules. Sabo believes that as long as it's funny, right, and then long as people are laughing and people are entertained, it's all fair game, right, and fair enough, right. I'm not going to sit there and tell him what he's doing. Now, my own sense of code of right or wrong may not align with his, and I personally would not do it. but that doesn't mean I have a position or place to where I can sit there and say what you're doing is wrong, Salvo. But because I'm not the joke police out here, right? I'm not the caretaker or the nanny, as it were. But if you noticed with the relationship with Keem and Salvo, um, both of them have to be the center of attention, right? Both of them have to be the focal point, because that's just the way that they're made. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not criticizing it. I'm not chastising it. I'm just telling you that's the way it is, right? But and Nick is another one of these guys. Now, I'm not saying that Nick has to be the center of attention, but Nick is one of these guys, like he's like an iDubbbz, right, of old. Nick has exposed people. He's exposed their hypocrisy. He's exposed their weak chin, as it were, like iDubbbz did with Leafy. So, but in every one of these cases, if we look at, and Keemstar says, well, he doesn't understand. He knew there would be problems. Well, because Keemstar, every relationship you've ever had always winds up having some turmoil in it. I'm not saying it's like an end to the friendship, but it becomes tumultuous. And guess what? Even in the best relationships, you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have, some falling out from time to time, right? That's just, that's just the way life is. So I think either Keemstar is not in touch with, he's not, either he understands, he knows this, and he's just playing, I guess, dense, or he truly doesn't know it and he doesn't understand it, which is actually worse, I think. So let's listen more.
Like, did we really have a falling out? Because I don't fucking hate Nick. I just want to bully him for being mad because he's mad.
Well,
so now he's resorted to the fucking attacking Brantley, right? That's the new thing.
Did he really
come on
attack Brantley, or did he goof on her?
Well, he tweeted out a video saying that she said the N-word or whatever.
And she did.
At the time, we thought was like this was a serious claim from Nick, right? At the time, I'm drunk. I just got home from the bar, and I'm like trying to figure it out.
And he said that. He gave you credit for that. I saw the interview on Dave. He said that he just thought you were upset and what have you. Well, you know what I thought? I thought Brantley freaked out, and you got this nice girl, and you want to show, you're a big shot. You wanted to show you were going to handle it. I think she was nagging you. And I think what happened was you freaked out over the nagging.
No, we all saw it. We all saw it at the same.
No, I'm sorry. He's trying to respin the narrative now. He's trying to retell the story. That's exactly what happened, Keem. Salvo Pancakes video from the night after you guys got back from the bar shows exactly that, right? And I get it, dude. I get it. Listen, there's been plenty of times in my life when I was single and was dating and what have you. And even to this day with my wife, there's been a time or two where something has happened. And all right, you know what? I'll just do this right now. We'll have a little segment here, a little breakaway for a PeePaw story. And I'll give an example where I myself put on my white knight armor and went out to rescue a damsel in distress, right? We all do it as guys. Okay. This is, it's just part of our makeup. It's part of who we are. So, I mean, I think there's a place and a time for it. And I think there's times when people do it and they're doing it for the wrong reasons or whatever, right? They're trying to rescue a woman or a girl and they don't need rescuing. Okay. So my wife and I have been married for maybe a year or so. Right. And we had recently moved to Louisiana, and we didn't have a some furniture. We needed some furniture, right? We needed a dining room table. We didn't have a dining room table. And newlywed couple and stuff. We just, didn't have a lot of furniture or nothing. And so we wanted to go to the dining room table. Okay. So we went to this furniture store, and we found a dining room suit that my wife liked, and whatever. It was something we could afford. The payments on it were going to be okay and everything. And so we did it and whatever else. And the sales associate was a young lady, and she was doing a fantastic, phenomenal job. And so we're sitting there doing it, and she's ringing us up or whatever. And out of the blue, out of nowhere, I guess it was like her supervisor or whatever, this guy comes over and says, "Oh, you're doing it all wrong," pushes her out of the way and starts ringing it up like, like trying to be like this big guy, whatever, right? Which I, first of all, was a little bit put off by that, because I thought, who's this jerk? And so anyway, I didn't say anything. I just let it go, because I thought, well, it's, it wasn't really my place, whatever. But I could tell that the girl was upset. Okay. So anyway, a few days go by, whatever. And I was out working, and at that point in time, I had to drive all over the state of Louisiana and to do my job and do run service calls. And so I was in a city about 2 hours or so away, and I get a beep, on my beeper, my pager. I get a page from the wife to call the house. And so I find a payphone, whatever, and I pull over and I call the wife. And I say, "What's up?" And she was not in tears, but she was very upset. And she starts explaining to me how the supervisor, whatever, that had pushed the young girl out of the way at the furniture store had called and said that there was a mistake in the ringing up of the furniture and what have you, and that they were going to have to basically double the price of the furniture, right? And I said, "Well, did you tell them that no, because we had a contract, and this is, whatever." Because again, this was the jerk that moved the girl out of the way, right? He was doing a fantastic job, but because, he was a man and he was Billy Badass, he could come in and do, he was going to do it far better than what she could do. And she said no. And, when she said, well, when she tried to explain to him, she didn't understand, why he got very, well, as a misogynist butthead will do, he just got very, just demeaning towards her. And, and so she was very upset. And I said, "Okay." I said, and she said, "Well, I'm going to just have to talk to my husband." And he said that would be fine or whatever. And so she got the number. And so she gave me the number. And so I called, and I was talking to him, and he starts explaining to me this, that, and whatever else. And I told him, I said, "Well, all that doesn't matter." He says, "Well, why doesn't that matter?" I said, "Let me ask you a question. Do we have a contract that you signed and I signed saying that you were going to give us this furniture for this price?" He said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Are you not the person who came over and moved the salesperson that we had been dealing with the entire time we walked into the store out of the way, treated her like a subhuman because you knew better? Was that not you? Is this not the person that did this?" He goes, "Well, she was ringing it up wrong." No, I said, "No, I think quite honestly, she was probably doing a better job than you, because now you're the one who finalized everything, then called up my wife." And I said, "I just get off the phone with my wife, who is very upset by the way that you talked to her." I said, "So here's what we're going to do." I said, "You're going to send me the money that I put down," because I had a down payment. I put money down. I said, "You're going to send me that money back to me." Okay. "And then what I'm going to do is, when we get off this phone, I'm going to call your headquarters, and I'm going to have a conversation with them about how you are a misogynist ass and how you have a problem with women. And he got very blustered, whatever. I said, and he kept, I said, let me ask you a question. Do you have anybody in that store that you report to? He goes, well, there's the store manager. I said, perfect. That's who I want to talk to. And so me and that gentleman had a conversation. He tried to make excuses for him. And I said, no, you're not making excuses for him, because I said he's an incompetent idiot that came in and took and moved a young lady out of the way that was doing a more than effective job at it, just because he wanted to prance in there like some peacock with his tail feathers all spread out like he was something. I said, and then he wants to turn around and he wants to call my wife and talk down to her and degrade her because she's a woman. No, I said, we're not having it. So what wound up happening is they wound up selling me the furniture for the exact price, which was half of, I guess, what it was originally supposed to have been. And that guy wound up, it was, what was it? My son, he gave me this, it was he called it a RFA, I think it's, RFM, I think is what he called it. I said, what's an RFM? He goes, it is a resume freshening moment or something like that. Basically, he had to update his RGE. Yeah, as a resume generating experience. There we go. Thank you, Nadia. Yeah, event. Yeah, resume generating event. Thank you. But that's what happened. The guy had a resume generating event. But anyway, so yeah, there are times when guys need to ride in 100% and they need to white knight, right? And I'm not saying that this was not a time where maybe Keemstar needed to step in a little bit, because give the devil his due, right? Brantley is new to all this stuff, right? And I seen your chat, right? I seen your chat. And you guys agree that Brantley is, if she, quote, continues, I've seen somebody say if she continues, then she has, then she's fair play. Okay. I'm going to say this. Brantley has been a part of that podcast from the very beginning. From the very first one, Brantley was a part of it. Now, she was not in a, quote, co-host position, right? But she always had a little bit where she was part of the introduction. She had a bit where she would talk about, the word of the day, or what day, not necessarily the word of the day, but what was special about that day. Like, was it National Pasta Day or whatever it was, right? So she's always had some form of, and then as time went by, even when Salvo was still there, she became more and more involved and started giving thoughts and opinions. Okay. So when you go from being, quote, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but when you go from being, quote, like the weather girl to where now you're doing opinion pieces or doing stories or whatever, that's what happens. You're stepping up your interaction with the production. Then that means you also step up with your exposure. It also means that you step up your ability to be criticized. And now that Salvo has exited, has parted, and she has stepped into the co-host role. And the thing about it is I can forgive her, her naivety, because this is not a world. Because King goes on into this interview and he talks about how, she's never really done anything with social media. Later on, she actually joins the interview and Tommy gets to talk with her and stuff. She reveals that she never really watched any type of videos, or that wasn't really her thing. Her sister watched like some of the tea community channels and things like that. And that's where she actually saw and met or seen Keemstar. And that was back when they were doing all the videos and stuff, when he was dating the first young lady after him and his longtime girlfriend parted ways. And they were, a lot of people were up in arms because he was dating a quite a bit younger young lady. I think she was like 20 or something, and people were kind of freaking out. And she says, "Yeah, I saw that." And I was like, "Well, I'm." And so, and Keemstar talks about that when all that kind of started hitting up. That he said there's like all these girls that started sending him nudes and stuff via Instagram DMs and what have you. And Brantley's just made it through the filter. But anyway, so while I can forgive her naivety because social media and this type of stuff is not something that she's familiar with and that she really consumed or whatever, Keemstar is, I think this is an accurate description. Keemstar is like the godfather of this, right? The Keemstar is synonymous. I mean, when you say drama, when you say commentary, when you say he is the all father, right? He's basically like from where all of these different things because of Drama Alert and what he started doing there, right? He is what made this community and gave birth to it. So anyway, so he should have known better. He should have known that this was going to happen, not a possibility, because it was going to happen, and he should have prepared her better. Okay, he should have went in here with his eyes wide open and not with blinders on, right? But anyway, this is a very good interview. I think it gives a lot of insight. Keemstar seems to, my personal takeaway from this is that he didn't really feel like what was done was I guess warranted or wasn't. But I'm sorry, fair game in my opinion. After the interview, Keemstar and them went live last night on the Keemstar show. And like I said, I haven't watched it yet either because, again, went to bed. But evidently, the show was plagued with some technical difficulties last night. And anyway, the chat, this is a screenshot of some of the live chat from last night. And the chat was not real happy with them, was not real happy with the show last night. And if we go over here, and this is the Keemstar show last night. If we go in here and we look at the comments, and we'll just read a few of them here. It says Sito Kabia says technical difficulties and the people calling us Salvo fans. No, the show needs a co-host that's going to bring in an audience and have more engaging discussions on the content. The views are dying, and I know Keen built this not just to entertain, but to rival other podcasts. Brittany can be a third. It's not a good flow, but it's not a good flow. When every story Keem has to teach his co-host how the internet works. A podcast is different opinions thrown around, not a school. Adam Cash says, I don't normally take the time to comment, so hopefully, Keem, you see this. The show is going against what you originally set out to do. The entire premise of the show had yourself and 3 other personalities that worked against, but with each other in the same time. If you head down this road, this show will become a Diet H3 podcast. You clearly need some level of a producer present, because if Chris, even if it was a bit or not, made the mistakes you made on this show, you would have verbally obliterated him. While the dynamic between you and Brantley isn't bad, you are both agreeable with each other, justifiably so. There is no one there to push back on your viewpoints, which conversely leads to a lack of quality entertaining content. I have a lot of other constructive points if you would like to hear. Just want to help, I'll shoot a DM over Twitter. And so it's on and on and on and on. if we segue a little bit here, this is Baited Podcast. Now, this was a podcast that was originally started with Keemstar, Colossal is Crazy, and Tommy C. And this was a podcast that started, I think, right at the, I can't remember when the first one was. It was right, either like right at the end of 2016 or they started right at the first of 2017. I can't remember, right? But the original crew broke up, okay? And this was the first podcast with the new character lineup, which was Keemstar, Andy Milanakis, and Anything for Views, okay? And so Keem put this crew, or this iteration of the podcast together. And if we go in here and if we look at some of the comments on this one as well, okay? Because what I'm trying to do here is a correlation between this is the way that the Keem Show podcast, this is the way it was. And so we got fans in there that are saying, hey, you need to do this, right? Because this was what was originally presented to us. And then this was the podcast, and this was the first iteration of the new cast after the old one, right? So let's take a look at this. So here's a pinned comment by the Baited Podcast, right? 1, no, comments were not deleted. People saying this is the comment section saying this in the comment section just want to bait others into upvoting their false cry censorship. 2, yes, ratings were disabled because this is a 45-minute podcast, and after being live for 5 minutes, it had 500 likes and 1,000 dislikes. It's unfair to us to rate the podcast with a dislike before even watching it. 3, if you are only here for Clown and Tommy, their podcast is in the description. 4, Baited will never be the same, but I'll always try my best to put on a good show, and if you take the time to listen to this episode, I think you'll enjoy it. 5, thanks, Keem. P.S. Clown and Tommy left Baited. They were not kicked. And if we go in here and if we look at this, okay, and we'll read some of the comments here. All right. So Maxling says, honestly, that made the podcast interesting to me was the juxtaposition between Clown and Keem's personality. They played off each other in a way that was interesting and entertaining. Tommy was there as a middleman, so things didn't go too far. And while he was my least favorite member of the podcast, due to how little input he put in, he still had a point as far as the balance of the podcast goes. And in Chad's relationship with Keem is too ambiguous to be interesting in my eyes. And while I don't hate either of them, even if Chad went a bit too far with his remark about Tommy and the Army, even for my tastes, it's not as entertaining as seeing Clown and Keem's near radically different viewpoints clash. It's just a shame that things had to turn out how they did. All well, take my opinion how you will. I still give the new cast a shot, but this is only the first episode with them after all. Losty says, this is fucking amazing. Literally, their first podcast, and chemistry is great, way better than the other previous Baited episodes, much better spread of opinions and views on topics, and people unlike the usual everyone versus Keem attitude. Darren says, Keem, Clown, and Chad would be perfect. Noah White Cell says, I love the new trio. It's fresh and the personalities clash well. It's good to see you can all agree, and some things keep it up. So, what's the takeaway from all this? All right. So people got used to the Keemstar show under a certain iteration, which was Keem and Sabo and Kristen Ark. And they had good chemistry. And yes, Chris would get berated because of this technical difficulty and that technical difficulty, right? I'm going to tell you something. When you're doing a show and you're doing a live show, you can be plagued with technical difficulties. Lord knows, in the history of the Clear as Mud podcast, which, by the way, we're in our 3rd season now, and we've got over 300 something subs now. Yay us. Thank you guys all for the love and support over there, by the way. I'm the producer on that podcast. I'm also a co-host on that podcast. So I'm wearing 2 hats, right? And we have technical difficulties. And guys, let me tell you something. I have been doing IT stuff for longer, over half of the time that I've been alive. Okay. I've been doing IT type stuff, this type of stuff, for half of the time that I have been on this planet. And we still have issues. Okay. Issues happen. On Dead on Dave, I produce for him. There are times when I have technical difficulties and I'm not a co-host. I'm just producing. And every once in a while, I will throw in a little comment here and there, or a little snipe, or whatever it is they call it, or I'll ask a question, whatever. But for the most part, I try to remain silent, and I let Dave and his co-host and his guests and stuff do their thing, right? I'm just there kind of as a little sprinkle here now and then, right? And even then, I still have some issues. It happens, right? So I'm not going to sit there and fault Keem because he had some technical difficulties. And I don't think it's fair that the fans fault Keem either. I think that's a little bit deal there. The one point that was made by the fans said if Chris would have done that, he would have berated him and so forth. Well, yes, probably so, which was part of the charm that was the Keemstar show, right? And but I also know that Chris, was doing the best that he could. Chris was still green in a lot of aspects of producing and stuff, and doing all that kind of stuff. But I think he handled it well. I think he did a very good job. And I know that his personal life kind of took a twist that prevented him from being able to continue in that capacity for that show. But as far as, implying that maybe Keem should have berated himself, that serves no purpose. This is zero purpose there. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. When something like that is going on and you're having difficulties during the show, and Banana, if he was here with me on this show, he would testify that I start really panicking, trying to solve the issue, and you become so distracted by the issue that the production of the show suffers even more. So it becomes a vicious circle, right? So what you're trying to do is you're trying to take care of the technical difficulties, whatever it is that you're having, as quietly and as efficiently as you possibly can, so that you're not just aspirating the situation. All right. So I think that deals with that situation there. Okay. So we've had a change in lineup on the Keemstar show, and people are not happy with it. They're not finding it entertaining. All right. Now, whether or not their views are fair, whether or not their views are justified, the thing that you have to keep in mind is this, is that to a certain degree, when you're putting on a product, you want to make a product that your fans are content with, that your fans are entertained with, that your fans are happy with. Because if you don't, at the end of the day, then the fans will go away. I do concur with the sentiment that for a good podcast I'm not saying you can't have just one person out there, right? What you don't want to have when you're having two people is you don't want to have where you're just sitting there and agreeing with each other all the time, right? Banana and I don't always agree on things. We typically, I think, see eye to eye on most things to a certain degree, but even there, our level of agreement kind of hits a certain thing, and then past that, we'll say, well, no, I don't agree with that or whatever. And there's been times when we just flat out not agreed with each other, and we flat out disagree with each other. I believe that Keemstar is a smart businessman. I also believe that Keemstar is a very good entertainer. I have no doubt in my mind that Keemstar is probably looking for somebody to come in as a co-host. The problem and challenges I think that Keemstar is going to have is because he has built this thing as a in-person podcast where the co-host is sitting right there beside him, right? this show takes place in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo, New York is not a mecca for YouTubers, right? So I hope that he finds somebody that will be able to come in there and have that dynamic that pushes back or causes King to kind of try to reel it in, like what was Savo. Savo was a live wire, and Savo, well, Savo just took on everybody and whatever, right? And if you remember, like there were people that Keemstar would try to call, and then they said, "Is your guy Savo there?" Yeah, and they wouldn't talk to him. They was flat up hung up because they didn't want to deal with Savo. And I thought that in itself was funny, right? That people were that just, not willing to deal with him. I thought that was a good, that was part of a good dynamic. So I hope Akeem can find something like that. I do agree with, and I think this goes back to the fact that Brantley really is not from this world. The typical viewer that's going to be watching Keemstar is going to be people who are going to be up on all this stuff, right? They're going to know some of the lore. They're going to know, they go there to get filled in on new stuff or maybe a little behind the scene things that Keemstar has access to that the rest of them do not. But he cannot be taking and trying to cut up a elephant-sized backstory so that Brantley can understand and get all the context before he gets to the new stuff. So either Brantley is going to have to really start spending a lot of her day ingesting and consuming all this that is out there and become more knowledgeable about this stuff, which she 100% can do, so that doesn't have to happen on the show. Or like I say, Keem is going to have to really crank up the search and hunt for somebody to come in. And, either that or he's going to have to maybe switch the presentation of the podcast to where maybe his co-host is virtual and not there in person, which is something that is very, very well able to be done. So anyway, hopefully you guys found this entertaining today, and hopefully maybe give you guys some perspective on some of the stuff on how to, like I say, I have no problem with people, being critical of Keemstar. I have no problem with people even being poking fun and critical at Brantley. I do like Brantley. I think she's a sweetheart. I've said this. I love her Southern accent. I think more Southern people need to be on the internet. I think that, we Southern people have a gentle nature about ourselves, and we need to be out there because we need to show that, we love people, right? And we love to help people. We love to do what we can to make, just make life better. Because there's this persona that's put out about Southern people that just doesn't mesh with what I see. That's not what I see. That's not what I experience day in and day out. That's not the South anymore. That's not who we are. Was there a period in time when we were that way? Yeah, 100%. But that's decades ago. That's decades and decades ago. We are not that way anymore. We are a jovial people. We are a loving people. We love to talk. We love to sit down and visit with people. We love eat good food with people and strangers and get to know them. You know, we call it breaking bread for a reason. We break the bread, and then we start forming bonds and friendship and stuff with people, right? And so, you know, I'm people find me, I guess, interesting or intriguing, and I hear and I listen to you guys on Twitter, and I listen to your I see your chats, and I see you know, your comments and stuff on the videos, and I appreciate them. I read them all, I do. Guys, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not some unicorn here, right? This is how we are in the South these days. This is just who we are. You know, we're not that stereotype. You know, we're not a bunch of inbred hillbillies. We're not these, you know, hateful people. We're just not. And I'm hoping that you guys are starting to see this, and that can we be spicy and sassy, and can we get riled up, and can we get, you know, yeah, we sure can. But generally speaking, it takes a lot to get us to that point. We're slow in everything we do, right? But, you know, we're slow to ask Dave. He'll tell you, I'm slow to call you my friend. I'm slow to love somebody. I'm slow to get anger. But when I call you my friend, it means something. When I say I love you, it means something. And if you make me angry, you better by God know something. It means something. So anyway, so I love Brantley. I do. I love that she is bringing and getting a lot of people on what a true Southern lady is about. And she is a true Southern lady. And her smile and her laugh is infectious. And when you saw how she got upset with Salvo that night, because she broke bread with Salvo. She considered Salvo her friend. She loved Salvo. And when she felt like that she had been betrayed, or that she felt like that Salvo in some way had I don't know, she, you know, had hurt her, right? That you saw what happened. And that's how us Southern people are. You know, if we put our feet underneath the table to break bread with you, if you come into our house, we consider you a part of our family, right? And if you do something that we feel is you know, you'll see, we'll get mad, and we'll have a, you know, that's a perfect example. So I understood that when that happened with Brantley and Salvo and all that, I 100% felt that. I knew where she was coming from. I've experienced that myself. I've watched my family go through that. I've seen this, my friends. Y'all, that wasn't an act. That wasn't a bit. That was real. And I know that sometimes people who aren't from the South and maybe haven't had a lot of dealings with Southern people, and they don't understand. What is it? That's just how we all are, you know? And so I 100% got that. And I was glad to see that they were able to mend that and put that aside, because I could tell, you know, Brantley was in pain that evening because she felt slighted by her friend. So anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. I think I've taken up enough of y'all's time today, and it's, oh Lord, I went late. Oh, the boss is gonna slap me on the wrist. So anyway, listen, I've loved our time with you today. Hopefully, I've given you some things to think about. Just like I said, have some patience with the Keemstar show. I think it's good for the community. I think it's entertaining. I do hope that Keem is able to procure a co-host and a producer that will give that dynamic back, because I think that was a great dynamic. And I hope he does it soon, because I want to see that. So I want to see that show succeed. I really do. Make sure that you check out DMAX. Make sure you check out Banana Grabber. Make sure, if you haven't signed up or sub to hang on, let me pull my notes back up so I don't. Captain Crack, or Captain Corey rather. If you haven't subbed his YouTube channel, I know he's at 100,000, but I think I see it going further. Make sure you know, if you, excuse me, are so inclined to do so, do that. Tonight, we'll have Dead on Dave. We'll be live. I haven't heard from Dave this morning, so I don't know this for certain. So keep an eye on his Twitter and mine. But I believe we'll be going live probably around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. It is Tuesday, SFTP Tuesday. So I don't know if Tommy will be joining us or if it would just be Matt Pitt, or exactly what's going on there. That's kind of up in the air. But make sure and watch, like I say, Dave's Twitter, my Twitter, and we'll keep you abreast on that. There is going to be a segment from our last podcast, from the Clear as Mud podcast, that's going to is going to be a premiere today. I think I said, what time did I say, Banana? Hang on, let me pull my tweet up, or my text up here to Banana, so I'll get to you the right time. Okay, yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've got a premiere. It's a little segment, edited down, clipped down and stuff, from Sunday's podcast. There's a funny little segment there that occurred in and around Chris the Narc, Matt Pitt. It was just funny. I thought it was something that would be good to kind of stand out by itself. It's going to be premiering, like I say, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard. Check that out over at Clear as Mud podcast. And I really got to end this today because I'm really over time. But take care and have a great day. Make sure to check out Nerdy John. I think he's going to be going live here in just a few minutes as well. Let me check. Let me go double check that and see if Nerdy's going live today. I don't know what his schedule is, because I know he's been homesick, and I don't know if he's about over that and is able to go back to work yet or not. Okay, he doesn't have anything. I don't see anything scheduled for this morning, so he may not be going live. There's nothing scheduled. But anyway, normally he goes live about 9 o'clock Eastern. So maybe check out his channel, see if he's going live here, watch his Twitter, that type of thing. Anyway, I got to get out of here. Take care, and I'll see you in the morning.
I just want y'all to find love, man. You know, like, it's mad easy betting, but